So, last but not least, my boss's boss. So I got to say nice things. Now, Jacob is fantastic. As I said earlier, if you've never heard him speak, you're in for a treat. And I think it'll explain a lot about our company, our marketing, the goofy ship-a-ton and everything else we do. I think it's a reflection of Jacob's fun, nonchalant, kind of sacrilegious character. And I can't wait to hear what he has to say. And as I said, by far the best slides of the entire day, so you are in for a treat.
Do you want me to wrap and help the Okay. Hi, everybody. David set the expectations way too high. And I also just want to say I had nothing to do with most of this, but only the good parts. So my talk today is called Closing Keynote. So, I guess I'll just go through my slides. I think first, I just have to say thank you. I think firstly to everybody, a bunch of categories here. So firstly, thank you to everybody who got on a plane, left their house, stayed in a hotel, all of that to be here today. I mean, I think people have been coming up and saying thank you to us. I'm like, this is silly that we had a party for a SaaS and people came. Like, that's amazing. So I have to thank everybody. I'm really glad that everybody's here and all of that. So I want to thank everybody who came. I especially want to thank, of course, my team. Rick, everybody's seen him, and he's been catching a lot of the praise. But there's a whole army of unsung heroes that have worked in the engine room of RevenueCat to make this work today. They are here. I'm looking at them. I won't say them by name because they will melt. But yeah, they know who they are. And this is just one of the things that, again, I don't know if Rick mentioned, but this was, I think it started off with Q3. We should do an event. That was July. So it is now not that far from July, and here we are. But anyway, again, lots of gratitude. So, apps. So I wanted to just shout back to what Phil talked about this morning in my own crappy version of it. But Phil talked about a growth loop, which he's been on our podcast. We've talked about this before. But kind of broke everything about what you all do and sort of what we hope to support into these 4 actions: build, acquire, convert, retain. And if you think about everything we saw today, it fits into this bucket. Probably almost everything you do working on apps like this is going to fit into one of these buckets. And so, you're building your app, you're getting people for your app, you're getting them to pay for your app, and then you're begging them not to leave, right? Or you're trying to keep them engaged. Something is going to fit into one of these 4 buckets. It can kind of feel like this. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this meme where you have one thing and you're so obsessed with it. And I think, I don't know, it's got to be all you live and breathe, and you really just got to grind at it. And, I've been doing subscription apps for a decade now. I've gotten such an interesting perspective now working on RevenueCat for the last 7 years. It's a grind. And there's no hack. You saw a lot of ideas today, a lot of good ideas, a lot of good tactics, but there's no hack, there's no magic bullet. And that's just the reality of it, and that's okay, right? Because I think my next slide, so it's why do we do this, though? Why do we spend so much of our time, living in this world? Because, all startups and all things, we're just trying to change the world with the power of computers, right? We're trying to make the world a better place. Also, though, we're trying to make money. Let's be honest. That's kind of what is smart. Because you can't change the world, for the most part, unless you're making some money, right? So that's kind of, when we set out to start RevenueCat, that was a big part of our thesis. I had tried working on apps and monetizing in different ways. I worked on apps that did microtransactions. I worked on apps that did advertising and all of this stuff. And I always just felt just make money in an honest way by charging people for your software was so beautiful. We made it our life's work. So that became our mission, is to help developers make more money. This is where it switches to a pitch, by the way, so thank you. But I'm going to try to keep it pretty relevant. but we're going to talk about RevenueCat, sorry. Close the doors so people are forced to stay and hear my pitch. But this is our mission. And I remember feeling like sort of embarrassed by this, or like it was dirty, nobody likes to talk about money. But that's what we do. It's very easy. It's made RevenueCat, honestly, a pretty easy project to work well. We're modulo a few things. It's made it a pretty easy project to wonder what to do next, because we just asked ourselves, are we going to help developers make more money? And developers for us, it's maybe originally was people writing code, but when I say developers, everybody in this room is a developer, right? Everybody who brings software to life is what we consider developers. And that's you. That's my next slide. That's you. We're here to help you make more money. So I thought it might be interesting. I don't know. There's probably some mix of customers of ours, not customers of ours, hopefully future customers of ours. But I thought it might be interesting to give. What can I talk about that's interesting? Y'all have the interesting stuff. I don't do the build part. I just do the retain, or convert, all that. I help with that, hopefully. But I thought maybe I could share a little bit about the state of the cat. RevenueCat, where we're at, and share numbers and stuff. Maybe that's cool. I don't know. Anyway, I mentioned 7 years in the making. Started off in 2017, 2 cats and a dream. This is for the astute collector of RevenueCat swag. You'll notice the black on red is a limited edition, one of one. And I think I'm wearing it today. Yeah, I'm actually wearing it today. Survived. Brought it with me. And then the person on the right here is Miguel. He's my co-founder. As I mentioned, we worked in subscription apps before this. We started with this idea. We had come through a lot of technical pain on working on this app, Elevate. And we felt like there's got to be a better way. We were experiencing many of the problems that all of you are dealing with, not just on the growth side, but on the technical side. We were in that loop that that bag I showed before, and building a lot of stuff ourselves. And we were like, gosh, there's got to be a better way. Turns out there wasn't, so we started to build a better way. Thinking, maybe a few people will use this. I think originally the goal, Miguel, was to, have some surf money. Maybe we would have a side hustle. I didn't really know what it was going to be. Turns out, people like to ship with RevenueCat. So we're now, this goes all the way back to the beginning. So it goes all the way back to 2017. But this is new developers shipping with RevenueCat every month. And every year, I think we've topped it. We're not going to go any faster. You all are not going to ship more apps, but you do. And I think maybe to zoom out, it's somewhat of a statement about RevenueCat, but also I think it's a statement about this industry, which I think when we started in 2017, you wouldn't have even called it an industry. There was, as the entire App Store subscriptions market, all the subscriptions in the App Store combined in 2017 was less than $10 billion a year. And now I think it's approaching $100 billion a year. In just 7 years, it's compounded that much, which is surprising, I think, to say the least. And to look at this on a money basis, this is how much money the RevenueCat nation is generating now. Over $250 million a month is flowing through RevenueCat, and it keeps going faster, which is great, but also concerning because we have to keep up with everybody. But it's fun. It's fun. Our team now, we're 75 plus or minus dedicated cats. This is from our offsite this year. I was telling somebody there's external swag. Swag is a big part of the RevenueCat experience in a lot of ways, but we have internally a matrix of swag. There's 10-year swag you get on your 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and then there's milestone swag, and these denim jackets are our $20 million swag. I'm telling you guys too much, but I'm very proud of it. But anyway, so this is us, and I think there's the money slide. We'll get to that, and then I guess just trying to again share stuff that's interesting. We're very transparent. So we've raised a lot of money. You've probably seen our the fundraising. ZERP was a weird time for everybody. But we've raised a lot of money. But I think it's important to report just because, for our customers that we have, maybe for people considering working with us, infrastructure is really important. And sometimes venture-backed companies just disappear because they don't manage their money well, and then they run off a cliff. And Miguel and I talk about all the time, this is the first real company we've started. It's going to be probably the last real company I'll start. So it's very important that we don't fly this thing off a cliff. And so, of the month, $60-ish million we've raised, we still have over half of that. And we're burning about $500,000 a month, so roughly 5 million in 5 years in runway, which is, by industry standards, quite a lot of runway. And honestly, pretty much full financial flexibility and optionality for us, which is great because it just lets us focus on helping developers make more money. And so what do we do? What are we doing? What is next for RevenueCat? I could flip back to the loop. It's we won't do the build part. That's your part. But we're going to help you acquire. We're going to help you convert. And we're going to help you retain. And we're just going to keep doing that and building that. And by that, I mean we're going to be investing in product and growth. But in my mind, we build product, growth follows. We build product, the shippies come later, but we make it work. So the whole trade-off is, I hope that this better be the case, or our business will disappear, is that the rev share, essentially, the amount of take RevenueCat takes should be a positive sum exchange. I think we're centralizing a lot of expertise on the plumbing of these businesses, the tactics, and in exchange for that, you guys get to access this across. Because I think maybe unlike some industries, it's not that competitive. It's not zero sum where if my app does well, your app does not do so well. There are so many different verticals that we can give away the secrets, and I think it raises all. But there might be some competitive niches where two apps are head-to-head, but for the most part, just sharing how to navigate this unique ecosystem, I think makes more money for everybody, and ultimately helps connect consumers with software that's good. So yeah, how do we do this? Well, one, I'm sure maybe folks have seen this. I think this QR code works, but this is our state of subscriptions report, which is, we have, what does it say on here, 30+ thousand. I think it's getting closer to 40,000 apps on RevenueCat. Phil used some of the data in his talk today. I know we've worked with some folks here to kind of help with analysis, but we have a unique view, data view on the ecosystem that Apple and Google have in a silo, but we're the only entity at this scale that has this across the ecosystem. And we finally have done this report this year and last year. It took us a little while. We wanted to reach scale to make sure we weren't have a smaller sample size, and we had the proper time to prepare the data. But I'm really proud of these. We have a lot of stuff that we can build, yet they're sort of in the format of PDFs now. I think we'll make them more interactive. But I consider this a way for us to give back and we do give this away for free, but it's also part of the package. We've talked about Subclub. David, we recorded a Subclub here, so maybe this isn't news for everybody. But we've been doing this podcast now for, what, David, 25 years, 4 years we've been doing this podcast, 100 episodes or something like this. It started off as maybe this is a cool idea, and now I think often people talk to me more about the Subclub podcast than they do my SaaS, which is interesting. The point was to promote the SaaS, but it's fine. It's a good podcast. Happy to keep funding it and participating. But there's folks in this room that have been on there. We try to program it to some degree what David wants to do, to some degree what we're hearing from customers, and from indie developers all the way up through public companies. And I think the content, you tell me, is somewhat coherent because unlike I think other B2B SaaS, the challenges of a small app and a really, really big app are closer than let's say a really, really big SaaS selling to enterprises and a really, really small indie SaaS or something like that. Because we all have to, public companies down to indie apps, we all have to deal with the App Store. We all have to deal with these churn realities. There's more similarities, which I think has made the podcast interesting, but I think just makes our business interesting, is that I can talk to all of these companies at different stages, and hopefully we provide something. So yeah, but mostly, obviously this has been about shippies and growth and all of this stuff. You've seen a lot of what the marketing team does at RevenueCat, but most of our money goes into building, and that's, I believe that everything we do for you all and what we can do for you all, most of that lies downstream of us building stuff. So I want to talk about what we're building, because I got into this game because I like building stuff, and I want to see it help, all these wonderful apps. So one of the things we've been working on this year. We recognize like web billing is a big problem for a lot of folks. There are options. Stripe is a very popular product. There are merchants of record like Paddle and Lemon Squeezy, which are really popular products. We felt that this was a big weakness in RevenueCat's offering, and so we're working on this now. We've got 2 things out in the wild right now. They're late stage beta, meaning hopefully they'll be considered general availability very shortly. But processing our own transactions and renewals, and that being owned by RevenueCat, and then hopefully very soon. Right now we're still very much powered on Stripe. Being able to move that to other payment processors, because we know Stripe doesn't work in every country. Some folks don't want to work with Stripe. The goal is to like put more into RevenueCat. Like that can be your like source of truth, and then the payment providers you can kind of swap in and out depending on what's most advantageous. Part of this too is like we have our billing engine, but we're also working on our own web paywalls product. So I know a lot of people are probably have some sort of web conversion experience, or maybe they're doing some sort of web to app like acquisition funnel. This will be a strategy for us going forward to support that. So like helping you convert, taking more engineering lift off your hands, so that, because I'm sure everybody's web conversion experience is a perfect little snowflake, but y'all don't need to be building them separately. Like we can build one and share it. That's kind of the dream. So that's what we're doing on there. Some cool stuff we've shipped. We started to build some predictive LTV stuff. I think most of the more developed shops here probably have their own internal predictive LTVs. Again, it's not something that's completely differentiated. Like sometimes you might have your own special things in sort of predicting what a cohort's LTV is, but we can kind of build a pretty decent model of that. So we've shipped that, again, in beta recently, and we're iterating. It took us a while to get this out because we want to get it right. We don't want to make overestimations or underestimations, and we're iterating here on the algorithm and also the UI, but I'm pretty excited about this. We've shipped the new Cohort Explorer. This was something that we should have, we had like designs 4 or 5 years ago, just never got to. But just more ways to like split and see your subscriptions across time in different ways. And again, doing it in a way that's flexible, doing it in a way that's intuitive. And there's a lot of stuff we're sitting on. There's probably ideas you're like, why haven't they built this yet? I'm still here for like 6 hours, so find me and yell at me. Because I can tend to move things around in our roadmap. Roku. So I don't know if there's anybody in the media category, but we just shipped Roku like today. We were also at their. It's a big day for conferences. Roku's conference was today. Meta's conference was today. YC Demo Day, and then of course the most prestigious App Awards in the industry. But I wanted to highlight this because we added another store, and people ask, are you going to add a store? And the answer I always give is yes, before they've even told me which store it is, because on the long horizon, we'll have every store. I don't know when we'll do that, but we will build support for just about every store in time. We're always just waiting to hear like what stores are interesting, where the most demand is, because again, I think these stores should kind of disappear from your I mean, it's important, but none of the technical aspects should be something your team has to worry about. And then, last, I think probably most interesting for this crew is what we're calling our Growth Suite. Kind of workshopping this as like a brand marketing or a product marketing term here. But we've built a lot of, in the last year, tools for growth, which we haven't had previously. And I actually, it made me think of, we always had this tagline since 2018 or so, which was build and analyze and grow. What is RevenueCat? It helps you build, analyze, and grow your subscription app. In the early days, we definitely helped you build. We could get our SDK in there, save you a bunch of time. Analyze, we had charts. You can look at your charts. Oh, is it going up? Is it going down? Cool, you did an analysis. And then the grow part, we're always like, yeah, we're saving you time. And like, you could definitely help grow your app. But it was a lot of hand-waving. I'm very happy to say in the last year, it's less hand-waving. So we've shipped our paywalls product, experiments, targeting, and soon Customer Center, which I want to show you guys like what we're working on right now, kind of present state and future state, just to give you an idea. So paywalls. It was about a year ago that we launched paywalls, and the reception's been really good. We've got a lot of apps using it. Some choices we made, they're fully native. I'm a big snob about native code. I mean, I don't want any Flutter people to like tackle me on stage or whatever. I love all apps. Let's just say that. But I do think like there is something about native app experiences that is better. So we wanted to build it that way. It's fully remote controllable so that you don't need to build and deploy an app to make changes to your paywall. And then one of the choices we made to get it shipped really fast was this concept of templates. So I don't know how many we have, 6 or 7, sort of hard-coded templates with some small options. And what we've learned in the last year is you guys like the native, you like the remote control, you do not like the templates. We've heard you. And so we're working on Paywalls v2 coming, I don't know when, Miguel, very soon, TM. It's real. There's a version of this that I've seen that is real. But we're going to retain the fully native. We're going to retain the remote control, but the big difference is it's going to be fully customizable. There will be templates still. There will be stuff you can quickly drop in to get going, but if there is going to be special little snowflakes in your app, your paywall should probably be a special snowflake and should look unique and really sell and like really feel like something you're proud of and is unique to you. And so this should enable that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Hopefully, the engineer leading the team doesn't know that I showed it to you all, but he'll be fine. We'll get it shipped. So anyway, that's paywalls. Excited about that. If you have questions, come find me, come ask. Another thing that we've worked on this year is targeting. So RevenueCat's always had like the option to sort of configure which products are visible and sort of that product management stuff. But we didn't really have great tools. Again, hand waving. Oh yeah, you can use that to like select which products people see. But we've built a like remote control configurable way to target which users see which offers at a given time. So that's part of our suite now, and we're adding more abilities to select and add rules over time as well. You can do things like schedule, timed sales or like limited time offers and things like this. Again, it's kind of early days for this, and I'll talk a little bit about where we see that going in the future. And then experiments. So this has been a product. We've had a version of it since 2020, but really only, I think, a truly great version of it in the last year. And it's an A/B testing tool, which there exist A/B testing tools. We're not the only A/B testing tool, but we, I think, are the only A/B testing tool integrated with your purchasing configurations, which honestly is probably what you're testing most of the time. If you're just trying to test like a button and a conversion in a singular thing, you can use LaunchDarkly or whatever other Firebase tool flagging if you want. But RevenueCat, because we're integrated with your payments, we can tell you the LTVs of these different tests. And you can configure paywalls with these and try different paywalls, but you can also use these to drive any sort of A/B test around behaviors or functionality in your app that you want. BYOP is bring your own paywall. You can do that too, or you can use ours. So yeah, experiments is relatively new. One thing that we're not doing that I think we will soon, and there's probably folks that would give me this feedback here, is like presently we don't declare a winner. We give you all the data, lots of numbers to your heart's content, but we don't tell you which one's the right answer. You have to follow your heart on that one. Again, kind of hedging, and we don't want to, I think because it's hard to say. Is it the conversion rate? Is it my LTV in 30 days? It depends on what you're trying to achieve as to what a winner is. But we've also heard the feedback. We now have predictive LTV models. We would like to start giving more indications. Again, we're maybe a little C conservative here and like not saying more than we really believe or really know, but that's on our roadmap. And something I want to, this is also net new, I think, sharing with folks, but this is shipping this year. We're calling it Customer Center, but it's the ability it's a piece of UI you'll be able to embed to handle. I've heard from most, I'd be curious to know how this breaks down in this room, but 50% or more of support tickets for apps that we serve have to do with subscriptions. Like that's most of it. And so light bulb, when most of our customers are doing something that's the same, that's something that we can be doing. So this will be a place where customers can go not only to manage, but hopefully front run a majority of your customer support tickets and resolve them either in-app. Initially, we'll also be building in the ability to target with win-back offers and sort of retention offers here. Kind of early days. We got a few apps of the internal employee app club running this right now. I also see a future where maybe we build some like chat bots based on this. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting place because, again, you go back to that loop: acquire, convert, paywalls are convert, acquire. We'll talk about it in the future in a bit. But this is like very much in that retain category of how can we help you avoid losing people for subscription reasons, and then also even just cutting down on the operational requirements of support. What's next? Surveys. There's a survey in there. Why are you leaving? And whatever. That's coming. This is actually the real version of it. Maybe I shouldn't have shared, but I wanted to show. It's actually real. This came from an app. It's a real thing. I promise. It's coming. Anyway, roadmap. People ask me about roadmap, and I have a very short-term and long-term view of a roadmap. The short-term roadmap is, what's our roadmap? It's whatever we're building right now and maybe what we might build next. That's as far ahead as we plan. And then there's a big category of essentially every problem subscription apps have. So I like to say, if you have a good idea, it's on our roadmap, and given sufficient time, we will both type all the works of Shakespeare and deliver all the products on our roadmap. And so trying to figure out how we can accelerate that in a responsible way, not get the company too broken with too many people at the same time is sort of my job to manage. But I will say we have a really ambitious roadmap. In some of these categories, I think we're weak in right now, and might give you guys some solace knowing we're thinking about these. As I mentioned, acquisition. We do some stuff on acquisition right now. We'll help you forward some ad spend stuff to MMPs. But I think we can be doing a lot more here. The MMP space has changed a lot in the last few years. I think there's small and big stuff we can be doing on paid acquisition, on just the general top of funnel. Web to app is a big thing that we're thinking about as well. So yeah, suffice to say there's a lot that I think we can build here and is on our roadmap, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have a few things going live in the next 12 months in this category. Communication is something, or vaguely communication and automation, I think is the next one, related to, we talked about targeting. The entire monetization journey is often very complex when you come in, when a user does X, Y, and Z, and probably folks are using different orchestration tools. We want to integrate that more tightly so like the monetization story is more like contained within RevenueCat. So that's something we're thinking about around, again, automation of sales. There's just so much you can do to like sort of that demand curve to make sure like you're providing stuff for people to buy at the moment that they will buy it at the right price at the right time. So yeah, and more. We're going to be building more. That's all I can say. Like, we'll go back to this slide. That's going to be the future, I promise. So yeah, it'll be on this list. You all build in sufficient time. We will do as much as possible to help you acquire, convert, and retain, and hopefully get you out of that loop, at least a little bit, because everybody here has like a gift. They have something that they know, that their companies know, that they know, some need the world has for software, and it's our mission to help you make more money, obviously because we like you and want you to make money, but also so that you can go do that thing. Like, I have a deep belief that we're still at the beginning of personal computing on the mobile platform. There's still so many. I didn't know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu needed an app. It has an app now because somebody built it, right? Somebody identified a need and built it for other human beings. And that's what really drives us, is building apps. I have a weird thing to announce. It's our one more thing. I shouldn't preface it with a weird thing, but I mentioned that Miguel and I used to work in subscriptions. That was 7 years ago. I think one challenge has been we get to work with all of you, but we don't have skin in the game necessarily. We're not really playing with live ammunition. We're learning through you all. So we bought an app, which is an interesting revelation. This app called Dipsea, spicy audiobooks. If you guys know the brand, Faye and Bethany from Dipsea are here. And like, I guess we're doing spicy audiobooks now. We've only done JSON to date. You're probably asking yourself the same question a lot of my team asks, like, why did we buy an app? And I want to explain it. It's for a couple reasons. We're not getting into the app game. I mean, we're in the app game, but we're not like, we didn't see an unexploited opportunity in spicy audiobooks necessarily. But we wanted to be able to learn more. We wanted to be able to move faster. And operating an app, Dipsea's got 100,000 subscribers, millions in revenue. We have some employees with apps at a much smaller scale at RevenueCat, but there's just some things you can't learn until you're at scale. Now we have a laboratory that we'll be able to work on some of these tools on. We're also going to be sharing whatever we can that's interesting about the growth journey of Dipsea. It's an app that's been around since 2020. I've worked with Faye and their team. They were one of RevenueCat's earliest customers. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this is going to go, and we're excited to share it with you all. And I think, in terms of gold-plated shippy cat statues and spicy audiobooks apps, it's, as one of my investors said, very on brand somehow. So anyway, that's it. I just want to say again, thank you, everybody. I think all the talks are great. The shippies are great, of course. But I think some of the best stuff is the conversations I've been having with everybody out in the hall and stuff. So I think David's got a few remarks as we wrap up, but that's it. Thank you. Were they the best slides? They were okay. They were okay. I chilled for 30 minutes and nobody booed me off stage. I think I did okay.